we've actually gone over our soccer talk once again on this show. I know Alex is at home just fuming right now. So we're going to switch it back to basketball, to the Raptors. And you wrote this really nice piece on Chris Boucher for Raptors.com. It's just called Impact Boucher. And, one stat here I wanted to start with. You wrote, over the last 60 games last season, the 29-year-old drew a total of 2 charges and contested a team-best 11.8 shots per game. This season, the charge that he drew on James Harden, which, by the way, was one of 2 that he drew on Harden, which was also the game-clinching play, was number 12 for Boucher, right? 12 compared to 2, and this season's not even done, while his shot attempts have been cut down to 5.8. So talk to me about that and what that says about Chris's approach to defense this season.
Yeah, I think it says everything that you need to know about him on the defensive end, where he's understanding that, he doesn't need to chase numbers. And if you put yourself in the right position, he said it himself. A charge can be just as effective as a block. And sometimes, guess what? A charge can be better than a block because it guarantees you're getting the possession, right? So you can block a shot and someone, the opponent can still get the ball back and put it in. Guess what? You get a charge, you're getting the ball. And so I think Chris Boucher, I asked Nick Nurse about this. What's it take for a guy to go from mentally, trying to time himself and position himself for blocks to saying, hey, I'm going to flip the switch and I'm going to get myself in the right position to take charges. And Nick Nurse was like, man, that can't be easy, right? That temptation that's always there, because guess what? He still does it effectively, at the 3-point line. We still see him running out and sometimes getting those blocks on 3-point shooters. And so to change it up inside around the basket, understanding that has more of a deterrence, and the shot contest is a big thing for me. For that to be cut down from 12 to 6, it shows me that he's consistently getting to the right spots where opponents are saying, oh, okay, we've got nothing here.
So they're not even shooting.
Exactly.
Right.
So they've either got to reset or find an open teammate or whatever it is. And that is how you impact the game at a level that, obviously we're not going to compare, in terms of defense, Chris Boucher and Marc Gasol. But when you look at Marc Gasol's numbers, the raw numbers never dictated how impactful he was on the court. And it's little things like that where you see Marc Gasol and you're not even taking the shot. And so Chris Boucher, to cut those shot contests down from 12 to 6, and you're saying, hey, this is trouble, let's go look somewhere else. That to me is how you impact the game way beyond the numbers.
Yeah, and I think part of that also is the fact that he's playing more 2 center lineups too. So he's not at the rim, which obviously are where the majority of shots are going to be contested and where they're going to be located. However, I think it's totally been noticeable how much more disciplined Chris has been on the defensive end, how much more impactful he's been. And I think for him personally, you've also pointed out that there's been an off-court adjustment for Chris in terms of his mentality and sort of keeping him calm during these games. And it has to do with an assist from team physical therapist Ray Chow. So what's going on there?
Yeah, so this was something that Boucher actually opened up about earlier in the season, where he was kind of in his own head, and Ray Chow felt like he was going a million miles a minute on the court. And so he suggested that in order to slow down, just take things one thing at a time, maybe some meditation would help. And that's where Chris Boucher said, okay, yeah, I'm trying to do whatever I can to get on the court right now, because let's face it, those first, month and a half, 2 months, it was rough for him. And so he took on meditation and enjoyed it, and it helped center him, and it helped him sort of calm down and just stop thinking too much and getting too ahead of himself, and just saying, hey, okay, let's make this, what are we doing here? Are we switching? Are we, and so just taking everything one step at a time, as opposed to thinking about 500 different things, I think has really eased things on the court for him. And that's where we're seeing a little bit less of that jumpiness that we kind of got accustomed to. We're seeing him being more proactive. It's just the decision making where, hey, if you're going to commit to a decision, go ahead, make it. And then the Raptors, the way they are, they can scramble and react off of that. It's when you show that indecision that everything kind of goes haywire.
Right. And, it's interesting because he actually, you'll see him do this physically on the court where when he's at the free throw line lining up to get a rebound, for example, especially on the first free throw of 2, right? There's no rebound there. So he'll line up, but he'll like get into this like deep squat, Nick Nurse style almost. And you'll see him do this repeatedly over the course of the game during action. I think during the intros and stuff like that, he's doing this. And it's like, I think that's actually when he's trying to sort of relax and try to meditate a little bit and try to get himself into the calmness and the state of mind because, going back to this point on charges, like you're not really going to take a charge unless you've really read everything in that situation. You realize this is the only option that the attacker is going for. This is the one that he set his mind up on. And you're able to beat him to that spot and read it and take that contact. Like that's really the key to the charge is reading the play. And I think the fact that he's leading the Raptors, the Raptors are really fallen off in charges, obviously with Kyle gone, but the way Chris has led the team in charges, he's starting to make more of those on a consistent basis. It really speaks to the fact that he's been just much more aware of what's going on, which has been great to see. And honestly, like when you think about it, so Chris started the season really poorly. Coming off the injury, playing different roles, whatever, he's talked about this, but he's really turning around. And when I'm thinking about who has been the sixth man of the year for the Raptors, because I think, honestly, there's probably like an advanced stats case to be made for Chris to be in that sixth man of the year conversation. We all know realistically he's not going to make it just because I don't think the national audience has any awareness of what's going on specifically. But at least locally on this team, would you say Chris has been the sixth man on the Raptors?
Unquestionably. Like, ever since those first couple months, he's been the most consistent Raptor off the bench. Like, the level of expectation I have for him now versus maybe those first couple months is night and day. He comes into the game, you know what he's going to give you. And this is also him taking pride in his role. And, he kind of talked about that Cleveland game where it was like, it was kind of an awakening and realizing this is what it's like to be the main option. It's not easy.
He's like, I don't want this.
It's really difficult.
I don't want it. Yeah.
And so for him to maybe have that wake-up call and that realization that, hey, I know what I can bring to the table. Let me just focus on that and be not content, but take pride in it. And I highlighted this in the story. There was that game at home against Chicago, and it goes to overtime, and Chris Boucher comes in for Scotty Barnes for a bit, is impactful, makes a difference on both ends, gets a steal, and then Scotty Barnes comes in with about 50 seconds left. And at this point, the Raptors pretty much have the game in the bag. And you would think, why is Nick even bringing Scotty back in? It seemed like he was pulled for a bit of a knee issue. Why not just leave him out? Like Chris close it out, let him enjoy the moment. And Chris could have been thinking that too, right? Like, let me enjoy this moment. I watched him go to the bench as the substitution happened, and he was pumped and he was giving high fives. And again, that is just taking pride in your role, saying, hey, I was asked to do something. I went out and did it, and I helped my team win this game.
Yeah, no, that's huge. And I think, it's been, Chris is a really thoughtful guy. Obviously, look, I have talked to Chris and I will talk to Chris for this program as well. That's not what this is about. But no, I think in just sort of seeing him this year and sort of hearing more of his thoughts and sort of realizing sort of who he is, like I think he's got a good quote in him too, man. Because look at this bit of wisdom that you have in your piece, right? He said, quote, "Life is a big circle. I've had ups and downs my whole life. So I just realized that one thing I've done my whole life is just find ways to get better and find the light at the end of the tunnel." And then he went on to say that, it's just realizing the things that are really important in life and to go to do your job with all the effort and energy that you can. And I think that kind of wisdom and that approach has really been the key to everything Chris has done this year. And I think, look, man, the bigger picture is it's in a contract year too. And he's essentially said, I don't really care about the scoring like that. I don't need to get all my blocks. I'm willing to do the little things. I want to get the team to win. it's not easy to get a guy on a contract year to do that, man. And I think that speaks to Chris's maturity first and foremost. That also speaks to Nick Nurse and what his coaching staff has been able to do with the team. And yeah, it's been great to watch. I mean, listen, this is gonna be rebranded as the Chris Boucher propaganda podcast as well. So just to keep score, we're doing this for Scotty, we're doing this for Pascal, we're doing this for Utah, obviously, and we're doing this for Chris as well. So I guess we're only the second most Chris-friendly program, considering the fact that he literally has his own show. But yeah, we're right. He's made me into a fan this year, absolutely, based on the way he's playing.
Hey, I see it with the tweets. I see it, in the things you say on the podcast. You've definitely come around on him, and I think he would have won a lot of people over with the way he's turned around his season.
Absolutely,
and good for him.